Welcome, Eagles everywhere. We are live from the NovaCare Complex on this beautiful Thursday. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy. Our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 season, presented by DraftKings. Fran, the Eagles on the road this week, the first of two away from Lincoln Financial Field, and we are going against the Las Vegas Raiders. Interesting football team. Fran, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Dave. It's obviously, like you said, a beautiful day outside, and the Eagles getting ready for a big matchup out in the road, out in the desert.
And we've got our look there. If you can kind of see him with the wild hair down the line, that's Dallas Goedert, who's activated from the COVID-19 list. He, of course, missed last week's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Goedert in the position for the first time in his four-year NFL career, Fran, of being the guy, number one, TE1 for the Philadelphia Eagles the rest of the season. We all wonder what that means for Goedert, who's in his contract year, and what that means for this Eagles offense. The trade of Zach Ertz last week. Goedert steps up. Jack Stoll active. Tyree Jackson now activated from the practice for his practice window, 21 days. He's missed the last 7 weeks of the season here with that broken bone in his back. A new look at tight end, Fran.
No question. And obviously everybody's excited to see what Dallas Goedert can do moving forward as the number one guy in that room. And, we've seen flashes of everything. And if you're looking at how to build a tight end in the NFL, he checks all of those boxes. But now it's about proving that you can do that as the number one guy on an every down basis. And he's going to get that opportunity now moving forward in this Eagles offense while still getting some flashes here of hopefully Tyree Jackson coming up soon. Jack Stoll, another undrafted rookie free agent out of Nebraska who's contributed as a blocker so far. So we'll see what this tight end picture looks like here moving forward.
Yeah, and Dallas Goedert, the Eagles' first pick in the 2018 draft, extremely talented. We know that, Fran. We've talked about it a lot. Big body, uses that body well. Excellent after the catch. I mean, it is a different thing, though, for a player who has been in a part-time role in his career. He's never played more than, 70% of the snaps, right? No. Yeah. This year, 71% of the snaps against, 2019, 71% of the snaps. 2020, 77% of the snaps. 68% of the snaps this year. But it's different. That number is going to go way up. And the Eagles have used a lot of 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends. You wonder if the philosophy changes moving forward.
Yeah, it was something I was interested in coming into the year was how much of 12 personnel they would use. Obviously, over the last 3 years to start the career for Dallas Goedert, the Eagles were one of the number one 12 personnel teams in all of football. They scaled that back a little bit this year and still found room to be able to get both Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz plenty of production. But now this is going to be Dallas Goedert's show moving forward, and it's going to be really exciting to see.
So that is one part of the news breaking from this week. The other piece, of course, is the return of Lane Johnson, who was gone for 2 weeks, sidelined with with personal reasons. He has made that very clear what those were: anxiety, depression, battling that.
Sure.
Open arms, welcoming back Lane Johnson. We all love Lane Johnson. Wonderful guy. He's always been super cooperative with all of us and a great football player on the field. So we obviously wish him the very best of luck on and off the field. What it means for this football team immediately, we don't know. All we know is that yesterday, Lane practiced on a limited basis, and we'll find out today if that workload increases and if he will be active and starting against the Raiders. And this is an excellent defensive front the Eagles are playing against on Sunday.
Yeah, when you look at this defensive front for the Raiders, there is one team, Dave, in the entire NFL that blitzes less than the Eagles defense, and that is the Raiders defense. They do not blitz. They rely on that four-man rush, but they are still effective at getting home to the quarterback. When you look at those two pass rushers, the guys coming off the edge, Yannick Ngakoue signed a big free agent deal with them this offseason. He's one of the better speed rushers in the NFL, but he can win with that long arm and push offensive tackles back. And then you look on the other side, Max Crosby really has continued to grow and get better each and every year. Former day 3 pick out of Eastern Michigan, just continues to flash, and he wins in a lot of different ways. Really smart pass rusher. He's good with his hands. So the Eagles offensive tackles, whoever is lining up at left and right tackle here this week, they will see both of these guys, Ngakoue and Max Crosby, and it's going to be a big test here Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon, 4:05 kickoff. We invite you to join us on the kickoff show presented by Exalta, and that begins on Sunday, 3:20 p.m. on our website, our app, and social media channels. The Eagles getting ready for the Raiders, their first game at Allegiant Stadium. The Raiders, of course, with some drama of their own.
Yeah.
John Gruden fired as the head coach last week, and the Raiders pull it together and beat Denver on the road. So a very impressive win for a veteran team, a talented team, an explosive offense, and one that appears, at least through one game, to be galvanized after the Gruden dismissal.
I was interested to see how they would respond to everything that happened to them a week ago. And so to see those players go on the road, come up with that win, I think that was really, look, anytime you play a division team on the road, that's a tough ask. And to do it with everything that they had going on, I think that certainly speaks to that team. And when you look at them, they've got that identity on both sides of the football. Offensively, they want to attack downfield, Dave. When you look at the way that they throw the football, Derek Carr, they have been attacking downfield, more throws past 20 yards than any team in the NFL. And then on the defensive side, it's Gus Bradley. It's the Seattle cover 3. They run more cover 3 zone than any team in the league. I already mentioned that they blitz less than anybody in the league, so it's going to be a 4-man rush, everybody playing zone behind it, and they're going to try and rally to the football. So the Eagles, they have an idea of what to expect from this Raiders team on Sunday. Now it's about going out and executing the plan that they're installing here over these next couple of days.
Yeah, and look, everybody's talking about the Eagles offense and what is the identity here. Nick Sirianni talking about that, and still in the growing stages. We know that in the improving stages, in the learning stages. Fran, what's the best way to attack what the Raiders are doing?
I think when you look at from a defensive standpoint, I mentioned it's a lot of cover 3. And in every zone coverage, there are holes. There's no perfect coverage. So there are lots of different ways to attack cover 3. Ultimately, what it comes down to is whenever you have a zone defense, there's going to be one guy that you're going to target on every pass play and say, okay, we're going to put him in conflict. Let's send 2 routes into that player's zone and make him try and defend too. Very, very hard to do. And so that's something that I think that when you look at from a pass game standpoint, that's an area where the Eagles can try and attack. And then look, this run defense, they've been had at times here in this season. So I think when you look at the ways to be able to get some chunk yardage on the ground, we'll see if that's available to this Eagles offense on Sunday.
Get the ball out of Jalen's hand quickly?
For sure. Yeah, especially against Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue. Those guys, they are able to get home fast. So that's certainly something you're going to have to watch out for. Not as much of an interior rush here with the Las Vegas Raiders, but those guys off the edge, they know how to get home to the quarterback.
Fran, I always feel like the Eagles are at an advantage, and certainly if Lane is playing and Jordan moves back over to left tackle, I feel like the Eagles do have an advantage against any group of pass rushers in this league. I think that's the strength of this Eagles offense when the Eagles are healthy up front.
I would venture to guess, and I haven't looked at this, but I would venture to guess if you looked at all 32 teams, I don't know that there are many more offensive tackle pairings that are more gifted, more physically talented than Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. I just think what both of those guys bring, and you can throw Andre Dillard in there as well, but with what those two guys bring, just a really impressive pairing. But still, you still have to go out and execute every single play against those Las Vegas rushers.
Yeah, so that is the setup for the Eagles offense on Sunday, going against Gus Bradley's defense. Now, the Eagles defense very aware of Derek Carr and Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards and a tight end by the name of Darren Waller, who is as gifted as anybody in the league. And what a remarkable story. Openly speaks about his off-the-field issues, including drug use and just not committed to football.
Yep.
All of a sudden, the light goes on, and before he left, Gruden called him the most talented player he's ever coached.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the most dynamic players in the NFL, regardless of position. Certainly one of the top tight ends in the NFL. And what they do with him is they move him around the formation. He lines up everywhere. And so I think every single week when you're going up against a talented tight end and you play a lot of zone like the Eagles do, you say it's a group effort. Against Darren Waller, it is absolutely a group effort because he's going to get matched up at times against corners, against linebackers, against safeties. You have to be aware of where number 83 is at all times. But Dave, you highlighted it. They've got a lot of weapons on that offense, and everybody kind of fits very clean into very specific roles. You've got Henry Ruggs, who is their deep threat. He's the guy that they would like to push the ball down the field to. Darren Waller, he can win at every single level of the field. Hunter Renfrow in the slot, one of the top slot receivers in football. And then Brian Edwards, the other starter, a second-year receiver. He is their big-bodied ex-receiver who they move around and they try and get the football in the quick game and then also in the intermediate area as well. They've got a couple backs that they rotate in and out. They like to use all their tight ends. So this is an offense that can do a lot of different things. They want to be physical, but offensively, it's all about pushing the ball down the field. Like I said, they do it more than anybody in the league. And the Eagles have already seen the Tampa Bay Bucks. They've already seen the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, teams that like to attack. The Raiders do it more than anybody.
And there's Lane Johnson. We take a look at him along with Jason Kelsey. We will see exactly how much Lane practices today. Would love to get him back in the lineup as quickly as possible against a really good Raiders defense, an attacking Raiders defense. Fran, the Raiders have not run the football well at all. Now the offensive line's not great.
That's what happened.
So look, this is an Eagles defense that has given up some runs. They've done a decent job of limiting the big plays, and they really showed some improvement against Tampa Bay after those first 2 touchdown drives by the Bucks. If you are Jonathan Gannon, what are you doing here? I mean, we haven't seen a lot of variety from Jonathan in his approach to rushing the quarterback. It's been a 4-man approach for the most part. Can the Eagles win with 4 up front?
Well, I think when you look at this Raiders offense, I talked about all the different weapons they have, and Derek Carr's playing the best football of his career. The issue that they have right now is along the offensive line, and part of that is from a continuity standpoint. They've had a lot of moving parts, guys that have been out of the lineup due to injury, and then they're trying to figure out who's going to go where, so they shifted their first-round pick, Alex Leatherwood. He goes inside to guard last week. They're really having a lot of issues up front along the offensive line.
Let's take a look at some of these offensive line works. Here we go. Eagles and the offensive line working. Now, we don't know how it's going to all play out for Sunday with Lane Johnson, but it is good to see him back on the field. And just going through some drills here, knocking off the rust, Fran. How much rust do you accumulate in 2 weeks? I would think that Lane's been through this before, keeps himself in good shape. I would think it's not going to be that difficult a transition to get back on the field. I'm sure he's absolutely just chomping at the bit to get on the field.
Oh, I'm sure. And we obviously know the work ethic that Lane Johnson has. So, I'm interested to see. Hopefully he is able to get back out there on the field with this Eagles offensive line on Sunday.
We shall see. It's our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 season, presented by DraftKings. We're live here at the NovaCare Complex on this Thursday afternoon. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro with you, along with Fran Duffy, our X's and O's guru. What do you got for Eagles' eye in the sky this week, Fran?
So myself and Greg Cosell, we talked about this matchup earlier in the week, and then we have an episode that's about to drop with myself, Ben Fennell, and then I also talked with Ted Wynn from The Athletic, who knows this Raiders team inside and out. So we're approaching this matchup from all angles, looking at the All-22 and just talking about the different areas where you need to pay special attention in this game. I think there are a number of really interesting matchups from an X's and O's standpoint. You talked about it, with the Raiders run game. That has not necessarily been a strength, but they did run the ball a little bit better last week against Denver. Yes. And Vic Fangio, stylistically, they do a lot of the same things that the Eagles do in terms of a lot of split safety looks and lighter boxes. And so could we see more of that from the Raiders on Sunday? That's something I will be very, very interested to see. And we talk about it a little bit over on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast.
And the Eagles' first game at Allegiant Stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. I was there in the summer. It's gorgeous. It's intimate. It's going to be loud. We know that there are going to be a lot of Eagles fans there, so thank you in advance and bring your energy. We're going to need this one on Sunday. Eagles and the Raiders, first time in Las Vegas. My Eagles Insider podcast drops today, featuring Landon Dickerson, Quez Watkins. Get to know these young players who are playing quite well, starting for the Eagles and contributing a lot to the offense, and certainly a big part of the future of the Philadelphia Eagles. Quez is really an impressive guy. He's really been the big playmaker in this pass game, Fran, and I think the best is yet to come with him.
Yeah, I mean, there are two areas where I've been most impressed so far with Quez Watkins this season, and this is just purely off of what we've seen from training camp on. Is I think he's gotten better as a route runner at all three levels. It's not just speed with him now, whereas a year ago you would say, all right, well, let's get him the ball fast. Don't worry about running routes. Let's just get him the ball in the screen game, or hey, we'll throw a go route or a post, where the route running efficiency not necessarily a prime focus. Now you're seeing him just being able to carve up defenders as a route runner, and I think that that's an area where he has taken a jump, and that's been really good to see. And the other area too, is his ability to play through contact. And we've seen that time and time again. He had that interception thrown his direction this past week against the Tampa Bay Bucks. That would be one where you would say, okay, I'd like to see him get a little bit better through contact there. But every other game, I've really seen him kind of fight through contact through the middle of the route and does a nice job of going up and winning at the catch point. He's one of the leaders in the NFL right now in yards per catch, and I think that that's reflective of his game-breaking ability.
It's really interesting watching these defensive backs, among them Kayvon Wallace, you see there. Draft pick last year. Now he is also, his practice window has opened, 21-day practice window, so the Eagles would love to get him back on the field and get that development going. It's so tough to develop and really assess players like Wallace, like Davion Taylor, because they haven't been healthy for an extended period of time. So we shall see here. And then Anthony Harris, limited a bit. You see the wraps on his hands. We'll keep an eye on that for Sunday, but clearly something that bothered him during the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got to have hands to play the safety position in the NFL. Fran, it's the Eagles and the Raiders on Sunday, and we want you to make sure you tune into our Eagles Game Plan show. It airs Sunday at 10 a.m. on NBC 10 and on our website, app, and social media channels. On Friday, you and Ike and John breaking it all down. And Fran, I think that this is a game where X's and O's are going to come into play here.
I think so. It's a really fun matchup on both sides of the football. We dive into it from a number of different angles. So, like you said, John Clark, Ike Reese, Mike Quick, Greg Cosell, all diving into this matchup from all sides. So make sure you go check that out. It always drops on PhiladelphiaEagles.com and the Eagles digital channels every Friday. So be sure to go check that out. Eagles Game Plan, wherever you get your Eagles content.
We are anticipating a bit of a turn in the season here, okay? Eagles are 2-4, come through a really tough stretch. We all knew at the beginning of the season just how difficult it would be, these first 6 games. And we're not taking anything lightly, certainly not one bit. But statistically, it's a lot different the rest of the way here. Eagles, in terms of wins and losses, have the easiest record in the NFL schedule to play against. So the Raiders, obviously a 4-2 team. Then come the Detroit Lions, who have yet to win a game on the road. So boy, wouldn't it be great to come back from Detroit 4-4, and then anything's possible with this team.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you look at who the Eagles have faced through the first 6 games, they've faced 3 of the best offenses in football with Dallas, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay. Obviously, all 3 of those games losses. But, moving forward, it's not as tough. You still have to go one game at a time. This one here against the Raiders, tough on both sides of the football. Go out there, get another road win. The Eagles 2-1 on the road so far this season, where you've seen them kind of have that ability to fight through adversity early in games. Hopefully that we could see more of that here on Sunday out in Vegas.
Fran, the Raiders offense has been so interesting to watch, right? Early on, terrible in the first half of games. And then in their good start, they came back and Carr led them to victories early in the season. Why has this group not been consistent? Is it the run game that they just haven't been able to unlock?
It's the offensive line. Because when teams have been able to get after Derek Carr, that's where he's been negatively affected. And every quarterback is affected by pressure, but some more than others. And I think when you have the issues that they've had, especially on the interior, like I said, they shifted Alex Leatherwood, who they drafted in the first round, to play offensive tackle. They had to slide him inside just because they're trying to get their best 5 out in the field. Andre James, he's their starting center right now after they traded away Rodney Hudson this offseason. They have John Simpson right now at left guard. He's a second-year player, more of a run blocker than a pass protector. When they put in Brandon Parker to replace Alex Leatherwood at tackle, he's not necessarily known for his foot speed on the edge to protect against the pass. So I think when you look at this offensive line, that's where some of these matchups can be won. And we talk about that every week, how important that will be for every Eagles game is, all right, can the Eagles defensive front win this matchup? We talked about it against Carolina, and they were able to go down and dominate. We talked about it against Atlanta. They were able to go down and dominate. Both of them were road wins. We'll see if they can follow suit here in Week 7.
Well, with Javon Hargrave, maybe the defensive player of the year at defensive tackle. I don't know.
He's in that conversation.
He's in that conversation for sure. The way he's played, Fletcher, that is a dangerous combination. The Eagles have an advantage inside against the Raiders, so they must win that matchup. We welcome you into our continuing coverage of the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles, presented by DraftKings. We're live at the NovaCare Complex. Dave Spadero, Fran Duffy. We're getting ready for the Eagles and the Raiders on Sunday from Las Vegas. Make sure you're with us at 3:20 for our kickoff show presented by Exalta. And then we are right back at it immediately following the game, the post-game show presented by Rico, with live reaction, commentary, and a look at the scene in Las Vegas. And there he is, Lane Johnson. Take a look back at Lane Johnson. How about that? We'll do that. There we go. Looking good, Lane. Great to have you back. Eagles, of course, with two significant moves here in the last week, trading Zach Ertz to Arizona and welcoming Lane Johnson back after he missed 2 games. So, Fran, it's never boring around the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, definitely not. You and I have been here long enough. I certainly not as long as you have, but there's always something to talk about. And right now, this is a team that is looking to try and get back on the winning side. You know, it's at 2-4 right now. This is a big stretch moving forward. This would be a big win to go and get a W out west against the Raiders.
It would be huge. And, I mean, look, again, the schedule takes a turn. It's time for the Eagles to step up and take advantage of that as they continue to grow, as they continue to trust in each other and build on the quarterback position. And there we go. With to left to right, Gardner Minshew, Joe Flacco, Jalen Hurts reacquainting themselves a bit there with Dallas Goedert, perhaps. Some rust that he has to knock off. Great to see Goddard back on the field, and he should be good to go on Sunday against the Raiders. First time in his career that he will be the guy in the NFL at that position.
It's going to be a big stretch here through the second half of the season for Dallas Goedert. And it's interesting just seeing him work over there. You see offensive coordinator Shane Steichen. We saw quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson. He just stepped off screen. There he is now. But, yeah, these quarterbacks getting to work here, trying to get ready for this Raiders defense.
Yeah, and look, as we talk about growth, we got to talk about Jalen and where he needs to grow. As Coach Nick told me in our one-on-one earlier this week, presented by Wawa, from the pocket. We've talked about this so much. Hey, he's going to make big plays with his legs. That is just part of his DNA. But to be a great quarterback in this league, you must win from the pocket. That is where we look for Jalen Hurts to take the next step. And I think that's really important, Fran. I think what will the Raiders do? Will they alter things at all? In Gus Bradley's X's and O's, you try to take away Jalen running the football and make you beat him from the pocket.
Honestly, I think that they're going to play the same way they've been playing, in that they're not going to blitz. I'm sure they'll throw in 1 or 2 here and there, but they're going to play zone coverage, keep their eyes on the quarterback, because if you're playing man, that's where the quarterback run game can kind of get you a little bit. They're going to try and get eyes on the quarterback. Don't let him escape. And the one change I would think would be up front with the front 4. They will play a little bit more contained. They're not going to necessarily aim right for the back of the pocket and try and get home as if you would a typical pocket passer. And so that would be the one change. But I think that otherwise, they're going to try and do the same things that they've been doing. And Dave, when I say like they don't blitz, they are blitzing far less than even the Eagles are. They are playing far more cover 3 than anybody in the NFL. They have been extreme with their defensive identity.
It's interesting, the concept of the blitz. Do you not blitz because you don't want to give up the big play in the back end? Do you not blitz because you feel like, okay, we're going to let the quarterback earn it and he'll make a mistake, or we'll get a sack, or we'll get a takeaway? I always kind of like the blitz at the right times. And under the Jim Johnson theory, I like the threat of a blitz. If a quarterback knows that they're not going to blitz, doesn't that give him less to think about?
And that's the thing, is that if you've got the threat of the blitz, now you're making that quarterback think a little bit more. I think when you look at just blitz, what's one of the teams in the NFL that's having so much trouble right now defensively? The Kansas City Chiefs. That's being seen as one of their Achilles heels. They're one of the leaders in the NFL in blitzing. They're just not getting home. They're not creating those big plays. And so just blitzing just for the sake of blitzing, not necessarily the answer, but it's about trying to find your spots. And I truly think, Dave, that a big part of hey, why don't the Eagles blitz more? How come we're not seeing more creativity with the fronts? I think a big part of that is that the Eagles have just not had a lot of success on those first and second down plays to get into 3rd and long. And now you can get a little bit more creative with what you're doing. If it's 3rd and 2, you can't line up with an exotic front and try and do some crazy blitz because you've got the threat of the run game there, or the quick throw. So you have to play a little bit more conservative. When it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, now you could turn the heat up on quarterbacks a little bit differently. So a lot of that has to do with being able not just to stop the run early on, but just create some more negative plays. And I think when the Eagles had some success against the Bucs last Thursday night, what did we see? We saw, hey, a forced incompletion. Now it's 2nd and 10, and now you get a tackle for loss or a short gain. Well, that's a 2-yard run. Well, now it's 3rd and 8, and now you get off the field. And so when you have that ability to create some of those negative plays, some of those stalemate plays on early downs, well, now you can get a little bit more creative when you get to 3rd down.
And I think when you talk about 1st and 2nd down, I think that's been the issue for the Eagles on both sides of the ball.
No question.
Right? I mean,
exactly right.
You don't want to be in 3rd and short on defense, and the Eagles have found themselves in 3rd and short too much on defense.
Yep.
You don't want to be in 3rd and long on offense, and the Eagles have found themselves way too often in 3rd and long, and that really takes away your options.
Absolutely. And when you talk about the issues on offense, people, depending on who you talk to, will say they need to run the ball more. Why don't we see more deep shots? Why doesn't Quez Watkins get the ball? Why don't the tight ends get the ball? Well, if you have 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, there aren't a lot of balls to go around. There's not a lot of plays to be called. And even when you talk about the adjustments, Nick Sirianni talking about how we're trying to get a sense of what the defense is trying to do in that first half. Well, if you don't run a lot of plays, then you don't get a lot of samples of what the defense is trying to do. And so it really just comes down to being more efficient. And we talked about Jalen Hurts just executing a little bit better from the pocket. When there are plays there to be made, you've got to be able to move the chains. You've got to be able to move the sticks, stay on the field. It's a huge benefit. It seems silly to say that, but when you stay on the field, it's a good thing for the offense for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, and you have to have success early. You've got to limit your penalties. We've been talking about this all season. Saw some improvement in that for the Eagles at both sides of the ball in the second half of the Tampa Bay game. But when you have a young team like this that's growing, the conversation is frustrating because, hey, we know we can do it. We know we're close. It's about consistency. 60, and every team says that.
Yep.
And every team comes down to one possession in the NFL. And it's just such a fine line. Bottom line here, Eagles need to start fast on Sunday in Las Vegas on both sides of the football. So difficult to come back in the NFL, as the Eagles have found out here in the last couple of weeks. Success in Carolina, 3 takeaways. Not the case against Tampa Bay, even though the defense did pick off Tom Brady and should have had another one. I'll still say that Marcus Epps had that interception.
I'm going to agree with you on that one.
It's our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 season, presented by DraftKings. We are live from the NovaCare Complex. A little peek behind the curtain here as the Eagles getting ready for Vegas. And is Ryan Kerrigan no longer wearing that big protective pad on the hand?
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah. That might be a reason for optimism with Kerrigan, that he can at least grab and pull and create some leverage.
It is tough to play in the trenches with a big club on your hand, for sure.
Which is exact. And that group right there, the D-line, so much responsibility in this game against a Raiders team that will burn you with the speed they have, with the great tight end they have, but they can be had, as we've talked about here. The run game has been ineffective, although some improvements certainly in the win over Denver last week. And an offensive line where, frankly, the Eagles should have an advantage, Fran, from one end to the other. The Eagles should have the advantage in the trenches.
Yeah, that's where this game can be won for certain. When you look at this Eagles defensive front going up against the Raiders and the offensive line, talking with Ted Wynn over on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, I asked him, I said, what is the major concern for the Raiders going into this game? And he said, yeah, it's their offensive line. That is especially the interior 3 going up against Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. That's going to be a concern for every team, and it's definitely a concern for this Raiders squad.
The Eagles and the Raiders. An interim head coach in Las Vegas, a rookie head coach in Philadelphia. We saw in week 1 when Nick Sirianni matched wits against Arthur Smith. Sirianni clearly winning that matchup, doing a great job with the X's and O's, doing a great job with the in-game adjustments. Now, look, the Raiders have an experienced coaching staff around Rich Bisaccia. I should know that. Bisaccia. So we'll see. Big one for the Eagles on Sunday. Make sure you're with us at 3:20 for our kickoff show presented by Exalta. We thank you so much for joining us here on this beautiful Thursday from the NovaCare Complex. Our coverage presented by DraftKings. For Fran Duffy, I'm Dave Spadaro. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have yourselves a great Eagles day. Fly, Eagles, fly. And go Birds!